Show Me the Mullah table, ably sponsored by Anglo-Irish Bank. Inspired by Mr. Jerome and Show Me and friends. We're going to address the issue of funding for startups, particularly, I suppose, gap in funding, particular types of startups that we're in. So, a couple of salient stats, I suppose, or points before we get into the substance of the presentation. Very recent research from the Global Entrepreneurial Monitor, the GEM report from the OECD, illustrate that 19,000 people started new businesses in Ireland in 2012, which remarkably is an overall decline in the rate of early stage entrepreneurial activity, primarily because of, well, we suspect primarily because of the credit squeeze and emigration, sadly. So we're talking about a kind of a decrease in volume of startups, despite what people might think, according to the headlines, that startup activity will actually increase. And crucially, 17% of failed businesses claimed to have problems getting finance. So this is probably the core of the sweet spot of our argument. How do we address this particular issue about informing startups, informing people about how to access funding for the business models? This challenges slide illustrates a bit of background and context behind what traditionally might be available to startups. So we looked at the landscape of current funding. Traditional sources of funding included savings, debt, bank credit or bank finance, microfinancing grants, venture capital, funds such as the Inner City Enterprise Fund, the ICE Fund, or other similar local and regional specific funds, and also tax breaks and tax incentives. And we also looked at potential funding streams into the future. Corporate funds or funds for blue chip operations, the idea of securitization of assets, securitizing assets within control and the Public Council, for example. Crowdsourcing, which is of course an increasingly popular source of funding for, well, startups. And other peer review of other companies and how they actually manage to do it, how they manage to leverage finance. In general, the consensus is that it's very difficult for startups to get financing. Startups of particular ilk. Technology startups generally have a much wider array and variety of financing sources, but we've identified an area, I suppose, the kind of the fallow ground where certain industries or certain sectoral interests aren't serviced properly. So yeah, we've basically ascertained that startups, tourism, manufacturing, infrastructure, major service industries attract most of the funding, based largely on the fact that they're scalable, that they've got access to international markets which will help them to grow and develop as businesses. Also, a comprehensive business plan is a key element to tapping into any funding. But of course, a lot of people have difficulty putting together a comprehensive business plan if they've no experience in business, for example. And from the entrepreneur's perspective, there's a degree of apprehension and confusion about funding, about how to go about sourcing the correct type of funding. Many entrepreneurs are nervous and anxious, probably much like the funders themselves, because of the financial crisis and because they don't actually know how to navigate the funding experience that currently exists. It's multipolar, it's multidisciplinary, there's no one-stop shop. So I guess to distill down those elements, we focused on three particular areas, which probably can be best summed up in the words of misalignment of funds, people, and information. A lack of available funds, confusion about how to access funding information, and the need to better prepare entrepreneurs for starting or running a business. We randomly came across Alison yesterday, when she arrived at our table with her prototype. And Alison became our user scenario experience. Alison is a passionate young entrepreneur with a great idea for a business. But she ran into several of the traditional roadblocks and barriers that entrepreneurs face on a daily basis. She was very busy developing her product, so busy in fact that most of her time was taken up in developing and getting that kind of initial project or idea, if you like, into a product or into a prototype stage. So as a consequence, she had no time to really concentrate or focus on what was most important to getting that product to the next stage, which effectively is developing a business model and accessing funds. So despite her passion, despite her obvious enthusiasm and knowledge in the space that she's working in, she's somewhat unsure about the funding process. Also, her experience with trying to access services was poor. For example, in trying to communicate or correspond with a particular agency, it transpired that her email address contacts were lost during a series of correspondence, and therefore the application process came to a dead end. So, what's our solution? What's our silver bullet? Well, we have a couple of silver bullets. We have decided to establish the Dublin Startups Fund. What we're suggesting here is a fairly modest sized fund, capitalised at about, I don't push Craig, 50 million euros and up, ideally. This would be fairly standard by international standards, but in Ireland, certainly a kind of local and regional touch points. 50 million is a lot of money, and it's very unusual to see that kind of figure, that kind of capital figure bounced around outside state agencies like Enterprise Ireland, for example. But this wouldn't be DCC on its own. This would be Dublin City Council in association with blue chip businesses that are based in the city, with alternative sources of funding coming from the likes of the EU, various EU initiatives, for example, the Horizon programme, the European Investment Bank, for example, and also by way of citizens themselves contributing by virtue of whatever crowdsourcing, crowdfunding mechanism that we might contrive. The new fund effectively will develop crucially in alignment with Dublin's economic plan. So, we have to make sure that we're dovetailing with what Dublin City wants and Dublin City's authorities want for the development of the city, the economic development of the city. We want to provide funding to startups, in particular to those that are currently underserviced. This is the kind of the grey area that we refer to, the area where artisans, artists, craftspeople, designers aren't necessarily supported. We want to broaden the scope and broaden the spec in terms of the type of funding targets that we can reach out to. We want to take a holistic approach in terms of assessing business models. And what we also want to do is we want to enhance collaboration and partnership potential between public and private bodies in particular. So the fund will be accessible through a new web portal, Support Dublin, the website, and the finance icon will support on the website. This will be a web tool that will help more people through the startup funding process. The tool will provide a one-stop shop, one place where startups can easily access funding to the Dublin Startup Fund, in addition to being a gateway to accessing funding from other sources. We based our model loosely on the award-winning gov.uk interface, which has effectively simplified access for citizens to public information in the UK. Local enterprise or office staff will also be available for face-to-face consultation at the NBO offices to walk people through the maze of funding options to focus them in the right direction. Whatever way entrepreneurs access the new model, the experience will be high caliber and consistent. So how's it going to work? Well, the Startup Fund will be generated by working in partnership with corporate social responsibility contribution and grants from organisations like Diageo, for example, Facebook, Google, banks, and other sources of base funding. We'll also try to leverage the brand equity and integrity of Dublin City Council, which will bring strong partners to the table. The crowdfunding partnership idea is crucial as well, so we will hopefully partner with a preferred supplier in the crowdfunding space, which will help moderate the crowdfunding source of finance. Features of the fund. 50 million, as I mentioned, feasibility grants, so low interest loans available in tiered increments for businesses depending on what stage of development they're at. Quick funding cycle, 6 months, 6 application periods per month, easy application process, active user experience. I didn't hear it again. Mentoring is absolutely crucial. We feel before I wrap it up, mentoring is a crucial ground level support, which the fund will also have to take into consideration. Effectively, unless you've got the knowledge and the wherewithal to develop your business and a business plan and understand what it is you're trying to do, then there's no point trying to access funding because you'll be refused. So effectively, a crucial component of this is widespread, free, high caliber mentoring, allied potentially to feasibility funding, ultimately bringing you into the kind of the initial entrance tier for startup funding. Let me just run down the benefits really quickly. These are very important benefits. But ultimately, what this will do for Dublin City, and for all of us hopefully, is obviously going to increase the number of startups and the quality of startups, increase employment, inspire entrepreneurship, position Dublin higher up the international startup ranking, global ranking system, be ultimately an economic driver for the country, as we noted earlier in the week. Urban, the city is the driver of the national economy. Increased levels of innovation, business attractive to the city, increased rights for the city council, and ultimately for the citizens, with a vibrant city to live in. That's pretty much it.